Windows 95 is coming to your computer. Hi, I'm Elliott Masie, and I will be your tour guide today. Welcome to BriefingWare, the start of your learning path to quickly getting comfortable with Microsoft's new operating system, Windows 95. I've been teaching people to use computers for over 20 years, and recently I hosted Microsoft Television's Windows 95 series. My experience in using and teaching Windows 95 has convinced me that you can learn this new product with great ease. The Masie Center's research has found that most current users of Windows can get up and running on Windows 95 with A short tour and focused learning demo, which by the way you're watching right now, plus B, an hour or two of guided self-discovery learning when you get back to your office. There is a lot you can learn about Windows 95, but there really are only a few things that you need to know right now in order to get started. You know, most people want to learn just in time, just enough, and often right at their desk. This briefing is your ticket to that approach. There are 8 things you will need to learn in order to get started learning Windows 95. Now, it's not necessary for you to take elaborate notes. These steps are detailed in the BriefingWare Learner's Guide. The 8 steps will introduce you to several new product features and relate Windows 95 to your current knowledge of Windows. This video segment was designed to give you clues on how to get the most out of your own personal exploration. Now remember, this is not a training class. You don't have to memorize anything from this video. Think of it as your first tour around the Windows 95 neighborhood. You'll have the BriefingWare Learner's Guide and other materials from your organization to help you navigate on future visits to Windows 95. By now, I'm sure you've heard, seen, and read lots of stories about Windows 95. But what does Windows 95 mean to you and to your organization? Windows 95 is the new engine for your computer. It is a new and more powerful operating system that will run your programs, help connect your computers to networks, and organize the information side of your work life. Windows 95 was built to allow organizations to evolve their computer systems as their business and procedures change. In order to stay in business in these competitive times, it is critical that companies have the tools to react to change with ease. Your organization will make a number of decisions about how to use Windows 95. They'll select the features that work best with your network and with your business mission and operations. Windows 95 is a powerful tool with many benefits to the corporation. Some key benefits include lower cost of supporting and maintaining your computer, improved networking tools, and greater system reliability and performance. When people have asked me to name the 3 primary reasons to shift to Windows 95, I use 3 phrases: faster, farther, and more productive. Faster. Windows 95 is a 32-bit operating system. Now, put simply, it means that the pipe inside your computer is larger, therefore allowing more data to flow and to flow quicker. Programs will start and run much faster. But more importantly, there's now enough power in the Windows 95 engine to allow you to use multiple programs at once. Farther. Windows 95 is designed to connect you and your computer to other people and devices. It has built-in features to allow you to fax from your desktop, easily connect to a wide range of computer networks, share documents with colleagues in workgroups throughout your organization and throughout the world. And it has the capacity to build links to the internet and online services. More productively. Microsoft software designers have spent several years studying how users just like you actually work. Windows 95 has several key features that will make your daily computing life more productive. New and improved features like print and send will make life just a little bit easier and you much more productive throughout the day. Let's take a minute to look at what Windows 95 doesn't change in your computer world. Good news. Current Windows applications will work on Windows 95, and they will work exactly the same way. For example, when I loaded up my bookkeeping application, every button and procedure was exactly the same now on Windows 95. And in addition, there were a few techniques that I could use that have helped me use this program with much greater ease. Piece of advice: trust your instincts. A few keystrokes or mouse moves are going to be different, but no more so than finding the windshield wiper button when you start to drive a new or rental car. You'll be able to get up and running on Windows 95 very quickly. We're about to take you on a learning tour of the 8 simple exercises to learn Windows 95. Sit back and watch. Remember, don't try to memorize my words. They're all in your learner's guide. What is important is for you to see some ways that you can explore Windows 95 to learn on your own. We're going to use a pretty standard vanilla setup of Windows 95, but your BriefingWare host will explain which whistles and bells you'll see on your computer. When you go back to your office, plan on doing each of these learning exercises on your own. Just follow along in the BriefingWare Learning Guide. Activity 1. Saying hello to Windows 95. Let me introduce you to the new look of the Windows 95 screen. As soon as Windows 95 is installed on your computer, take a moment to get familiar with the layout of the screen. See the Start button in the lower left-hand corner? What a great place to begin. Head down. Give it a click. Up pops Choices. From this first menu, you can do almost anything. You can shut down the computer, use the run command, go get help, find a file or directory, change your settings, launch documents, or start programs. See the small images on the left side of your screen? These are called icons. Try clicking on them. They perform a wide variety of functions, and we'll be talking about them later in this video. Here's a twist. Try clicking around the screen with the right mouse button instead of the left. The right mouse button gives you information and choices of several actions. For example, hit the right mouse button on the sound icon and you can adjust the volume. From the desktop, you can change the way the display looks. Remember, try these activities back at your office as soon as Windows 95 appears on your desktop computer. The BriefingWare Learner's Guide will take you through each step in these activities. It's time for Activity 2, the Windows 95 Application Aerobics. I've demonstrated Windows 95 to hundreds of new users, and I found that folks love to do the short aerobics lesson. Are you ready? First, go to Program and see your folders. Next, linger on one, and up pops your program choices. Now, select your program. It's time to change the size of the windows. In the upper left-hand corner are some new buttons: the minimize, the maximize, and the close button. Okay, big, small, big, small. Now, the minimize button. See how the program shrinks down to the taskbar? Ready? And now, launch from the taskbar. Now, shrink, launch, shrink, launch, shrink. Okay, watch closely. I'm adding another application. Watch. Maximize. Minimize. Now the third application. Ready? Let's put it all together. Open them all. And for the grand finale, close, close, close. This might have slipped by you, but did you notice that you can launch from the Documents option in the Start menu? Watch this example. Documents is a collection of the last things you worked on. When you select the file, it also launches the application needed to work on the file. It lets you think of things in terms of what work you did, not what program you used. Don't forget, step-by-step instructions for this exciting Applications Aerobics routine is documented in your Learner's Guide. Go back to your office and try it now. Well, it's time for activity number 3. Help! You know, everybody needs help sometimes. When we're confused, when we forget, and often when we try something new. Windows 95 has a built-in load of help for you. Help is now an option from the Start menu, and it's really been revamped. Let's check out what's new. These screens describe some of the new features of Windows 95, like shortcut, long file names. What's the Windows Explorer? All terms you'll soon become familiar with. What else is new in Help? There's How To. Then there's Tips and Tricks. And Troubleshooting. Troubleshooting is a wizard. Wizards were designed to step through the problem by asking you a series of questions. Here's an example of a print wizard. Another way you can use Help is by the tabs up at the top. We've looked at what the Content view has to offer. Now, how about Index? Let's look up topics I'm printing. I can select a topic by highlighting it. Another way to get help is through the Find option. Let's see more of the new Annotate Screens feature. You see Annotate being used here. It's really handy for those of us who forgot what we figured out the last time we got stuck here. A good Windows 95 user figures out how to help themselves by making aggressive use of the online help screens. Well, it's time for activity number 4, finding things. It's important to be able to find things on your computer. Finding files, finding documents, finding out where the programs are. Windows 95 provides several tools to find things on that computer of yours. The quickest way to locate a file is to use the find command. Watch as we try to find our friend Felix. We've located the file, and here's Felix. Now open the Explorer. See how you can view what's on every drive. Say you're a visual kind of user. Well, you could change from small to large icons. Or revert back to a detailed list. If you're on a network, you'll want to go into Network Neighborhood. This is your doorway to your organization's network. Go back to your own computer to find some stuff. See if you can locate your files on the Explorer, or see how many of your files you've named test. We're halfway through the 8 steps. Remember, everything here is documented in the Learner's Guide, a roadmap to everything you've seen and your way to practice these when you get back to your office. Some people learn best from first trying to understand in terms of what they know or do today before moving on to something new. Some prefer to dive in and try the new stuff. Whatever your learning style, use the guide as a map and spend some time exploring when you get back to the office. Well, activity number 5, everyday things. Let's focus on the things that we do every day. We produce documents, we print things, we send things to people. Let's take a closer look at the options listed when you press the right mouse button on a file. Many of the common things you do to your documents are right here. See the new Send To option? It's asking you how you'd like something delivered. You could send it via a 3.5-inch disk, fax, or email. The new Send To command lets you automate much of what you used to do manually. Copy, rename, format, and print. It's all right here. Of course, your ability to copy or send depends a lot on your computer's configuration. See what you've got when you get back to your own computer. More and more folks work on 2 computers, one at work and one at home, or a laptop on the road. Windows 95 has an electronic briefcase to make data commuting a snap. Double-click on the briefcase. Now, open up Explorer and find a few files you'd like to take home. Pick up my to-do folder, drop it into your electronic briefcase, and in a moment it'll be on a 3.5-inch disk to take home with you. Here's something else you do every day. You name files. Now, instead of being limited to 8 characters, you can have up to 255 characters with as many periods and spaces as you want. Now, I'm not suggesting you should start trying to make up these outrageously long file names, but if this option is enabled in your environment, you'll be able to give your documents and folders much more descriptive titles. My January memos could be grouped together in a folder called January Memos. Makes sense. Well, activity number 6, customizing your display. Computers can be very personal things, kind of like desks. Ever work at somebody else's desk and mess with their pencils or piles of paper? Big mistake. We love to have our own special way of setting up our desks, and that now includes our computer desktops. Windows 95 lets you and your organization customize the desktop with ease. Under Display Properties, you can customize the appearance of your display. Select a new background. Say OK, and we're there. My computer lets you look at your whole system, from drives and directories to information and access to your hardware, your display, even your mouse. When you have a question about any aspect of your computer, this is a super place to look for information. Here's a look at system properties. A great new feature of Windows 95 is shortcuts. Shortcuts. Here's an example of a printer shortcut. Press the right mouse button, select shortcut. It gets created. Now, if I have a file I want to print, I just drag it on over to the printer shortcut. Oh, it's printed. And you can create a shortcut to almost anything, to a file, to a device, or to a program. Activity number 7. The cool stuff. Windows 95 has several cool features that you will want to check out when you start using this product. These are improvements on your current version of Windows and will increase your productivity and ease of use. The recycle bin is a great new feature because if you accidentally deleted something, you could retrieve it later. Or every now and then you can empty it, like an overflowing trash can. Another neat feature of Windows 95 is its built-in support for multimedia. This enhanced support means that you can enjoy higher quality sound, video, and animation effects. Here's a clip from Microsoft Encarta. The sound and video quality are vastly improved. A word about DOS. The same old DOS now runs within a window. I can do all the same stuff, even launch my old scheduler software, and I can even run several Windows applications at the same time. Another new feature is plug and play. This feature will make it much easier for you to set up new hardware and software. Windows 95 automatically recognizes when you've added a new device, say a printer or even a PC card, and configures your system automatically so you can start using it right away. Activity number 8, your Windows 95. You know, activity number 8 doesn't require you to even use your computer. This is when I give you some advice. Your BriefingWare host will now explain the support and learning strategies within your organization. After you've exhausted the online help, you should know who you call if you have a question. If more training is needed, find out what videos, classes, or books are available. Windows 95 is a very rich product. We've just shown you a simple, vanilla, standard version, but each organization will have different business needs and implementations. Find out what major features have been enabled in your organization and are ready for you to use when you get back to the office. Windows 95 is really just the next logical step in the evolution of computing. When I bought my first computer, it only had capital letters, and we stored all of our programs on an audio cassette tape. Well, we've come a long way. Windows 95 is taking us to the next stage of computer evolution. It will allow our computers to work faster, take us farther, and help us work more productively. Now, I want you to do me a favor. Don't get stressed out the day your organization installs Windows 95 on your desktop. I promise, it really will take you just an hour or two to get the hang of this new system. Follow the 8 activities in your learning guide and you'll get it. On behalf of the Masie Center and Q Education and Training, we want to thank you for watching. I'm Elliott Masie. Hello. Welcome to the host section of the BriefingWare kit for Windows 95. My name is Elliott Masie. We're going to work together today. Let me explain our roles. I'm the host of the video portion of the briefing that's going to be conducted in your organization. You are a critical factor. You are going to be one of the on-site hosts for the Windows 95 briefing. Together, we have a very important job. Our job is to introduce Windows 95 to the new users in your organization and to launch them on an effective model of learning. So let's describe what a briefing will be. Now, this is going to vary from organization to organization. In general, we believe that briefings will be held at the business unit level. So I would anticipate that you might want to have one with anywhere from 10 to 40 people. Some organizations have already started to do briefings as part of their regular staff meetings. In some other organizations, they've gone for the big briefing. And we literally have heard reports of 1,000 people in a room for a major briefing. And ironically, it doesn't make that much of a difference, because essentially, it's not a hands-on training experience. Good news is you don't have to set up one computer for each person, because the briefing is really not about training. It's about orientation and about launching the users. So the only technology that you're going to need is perhaps one computer. And that will be one computer in front, and ideally it'll be hooked up to some form of a display device, either an LCD screen or one of those other large projectors. So if in fact you want to do a live demo, you have that capacity. Now, when we gather these people in the room, who's going to lead them? Well, hopefully it'll be you. We're suggesting that the ideal people to lead this briefing are either the actual managers of the folks who are attending, or people from the managerial ranks, or as a second choice, to bring somebody who has a training background. Our primary credential as a leader is not to be an expert on Windows 95, because we're going to do a fair amount of the expert part on this videotape, and in fact Microsoft has done an awful lot of it with the kind of learning and support tools that are embedded into the product. In fact, the primary qualification is that you have credibility in the eyes of the people attending the briefing, and that you are comfortable being in front of a group. So if you really sweat and you're nervous, then perhaps you want to get a second person to co-lead this briefing with you. Now, before you do the briefing, I want to give you a homework assignment. You're going to need to reach out and gather a couple pieces of information. And some of these you may know already, and some of these you're going to have to check either with the IS or training or help desk division. The first thing I want you to find out is what are the whole range of corporate learning resources and strategies that are available to the users of Windows 95. In other words, perhaps you've gone out and bought a series of books, and there are a lot of books on the market. I know there are many that are made by publishers like Q, and there's also courseware that's available. In fact, a number of organizations have purchased a dozen different magazines in their August or September edition that had neat features on Windows 95. In addition, you want to find out, are there any other learning strategies? For instance, have you contracted for classes, either provided internally or by a third-party vendor? And are there any other forms of technology-delivered instruction? Perhaps these will be a self-paced CD-ROM product or a tutorial or the like. And you're going to need to gather these together, and I would suggest you integrate them into the learner's guide so that each person attending the briefing walks away understanding what are the learning strategies and who gets to use them. Now, don't tease them. If in fact there's only budget to send 10 people to training, we don't want to announce this as a corporate-wide option. Second piece of information that you need to pull together is what are the official corporate support strategies for Windows 95. In other words, if I attend the briefing and I go back and I successfully start to use Windows 95 and I have a question, who do I call? What do I do? Do I call your regular help desk number? Do I maybe wait and attend a kind of a help desk clinic? Is somebody going to wander around the organization? We often call that sneaker-based training and support. Or do I call the Microsoft help desk or a third-party vendor of help desk services? Once again, one of the primary objectives of the briefing is to communicate effectively what are the official support strategies for Windows 95. Now, the third piece, and this is, in times, it may almost be a political issue, but I want to be very blunt with you because we have to work together well. your corporation is going to be making choices about Windows 95. And to be honest, Windows 95 has an enormous number of features, some of which your organization will decide to not enable. And one of the challenges that we have is that the users may be reading articles that appear either in the general press like Time and Newsweek or in things like PC Week or InfoWorld, and they'll hear, for instance, about the new Microsoft network or about the fax-enabled policies of Windows 95 or about the really cool multimedia. And perhaps in your organization, you don't want to let them have any of those, and nobody's yet bought a CD-ROM or speakers. So one of the things that you're going to have to communicate clearly, and I believe honestly, to your users is what corporate choices have been made for Windows 95. And I would encourage you to make sure that all of these are in print, either part of a learning guide or as a secondary handout. Now, when you go and you're hosting the briefing, you're going to be with the group before the videotape starts. And I want you to help set a frame. We know from the study of adult learning that adults absolutely have to have their expectations set appropriately before a learning event. And I want you to be very direct with them and tell them this is not training. They don't have to take notes. There's not going to be a test at the end. They don't have to memorize anything. In fact, tell them that this is more of an orientation. This is their getting started opportunity with Windows 95. And that in fact, most of the learning is not going to take place in the room where the briefing happens, but rather it's going to be taking place back on the job. When they go back and when Windows 95 appears on their workstation, that's when their self-discovery will yield the learning. All we want to do at the briefing is get them focused, get them motivated, get them ready. You know, one of the things that led me to invent the BriefingWare concept was the fact that there are these really, really sexy, high-energy demonstrations done by the software publishers that users never get to see. They're basically aimed at the people who make the buy decision. The salespeople show it to the people who are making the decision to adopt the package. And they're exciting, but users never get to see that. Well, we wanted to take some of that energy and direct it as a motivation so users want to migrate and they want to take responsibility for their learning and their support. Now, an additional thing that you're going to need to do is you're going to have to localize the learner's guide. Now, we've provided you with one hard copy of this, but much more importantly, you have a Microsoft Word document that includes the entire learner's guide. And we want you to go through this learner's guide and consider either adding some sections, if you want, drop your own logo into that, and make it personal. And I would once again be sure to include both the training and support resources. If you've purchased other resources, for instance, if there are some books available or maybe there are some videos available, include that in the learner's guide and tell them how they can get that. Now, you're basically going to be providing a surround to the video that I've produced. You're going to be starting it, and you're going to be there when it ends, and you have a critical role in shaping that presentation. One of the things that you're going to be doing is you're going to be adding localization. And in fact, right on the video, I'm going to talk to the camera and say, hey, your local host has some of the answers for you. And it's going to be very important for you to make sure that you've got some content with that. And one suggestion, most organizations that are migrating to Windows 95 have done some type of a pilot. And it would be really helpful for you to reach out and find out how did the pilot go, what did we learn, and maybe there even are a few role models, key users that have done exquisite jobs of mastering Windows 95. Now, after the briefing happens and after you explain the policies, it is very appropriate for you to have a short Q&A, questions and answers. And I know sometimes this can be somewhat of a high anxiety opportunity, particularly if you're not a Windows 95 expert. So I want to be very upfront and tell them right at the beginning what it's about. I want to say this is question and answers. And we're going to mainly talk not about Windows 95, but about how we're going to learn Windows 95. Couple of tips. Keep it lively. Don't let this become a very minutia-based and dull Q&A. Make sure you have a couple of questions. You might even want to plant a few in the audience so that you make sure that you have some global questions. Keep it moving. Be sure to generate a whole lot of energy in that process. And if there are any questions that people have that you can't answer, then your role is going to be to refer them and to do follow-up. And I might even literally have one person there other than the host to write down those questions and make sure that you're going to distribute them to everybody as maybe part of an email message that goes on afterwards or part of a newsletter. The role that you're going to play is to basically add a live person who's able to be their link to the powers that be and the resources that are available to help them make the transition into Windows 95. Now, I don't want you to feel alone in this process. And in fact, as you start to present briefings, you may have some questions. And I want to be there for you as a resource. So let me give you a great way to reach me. All you need to do, and it'll show right up on the screen, is send an email note to win95@masie.com. And one of the staff from the Masie Center will try to get back to you as quickly as possible with some suggestions and some answers. You are the key to a successful migration for Windows 95. We really believe that using BriefingWare, providing briefings, using the Learner's Guide, and really focusing on self-discovery learning will create the most cost-effective migration for the largest change in the history of technology. I believe that it's going to be a fun job being a host. In fact, we're going to be visiting a number of organizations that are doing briefings so that we can observe and learn from the process. And once again, if you send me an email to win95@masie.com, we'll occasionally send you a note back and tell you what we've learned about that. Well, the next time we meet, you'll be live and I'll be on a video, and together we'll launch your corporate users to the exciting world of Windows 95. For BriefingWare, the Masie Center, and Q Education and Training, this is Elliott Masie. Good luck. In addition to BriefingWare for Windows 95, Q Education and Training offers a complete line of training tools for Windows 95. The On-the-Job Essentials series for instructor-led training of new Windows 95 users. Transition to Windows 95 for Windows 3.x users. For instructor-led training of upgrade users. Instructor's manuals. Ideal companion guides to workbooks in the Essentials series. The Computer Trainer's Personal Training Guide. A complete 300-page reference of tips, insights, and proven instructional techniques from a team of expert trainers. For more information, contact Q Education and Training. The Masie Center offers a complete line of resources, products, and training services for the computer training professional. Please contact the Masie Center for more information. Welcome to the Manager's Briefing for Windows 95. Hello, my name is Elliott Masie. I'm the president of the Masie Center, a technology and learning think tank, and I am the host of Microsoft Television's Windows 95 series. For the past year, we have been studying Windows 95 and teaching the program to a wide variety of users throughout the world. Your workers and colleagues are about to upgrade their computers to Windows 95. They are about to get a new and more powerful computer engine to help them with the ever-increasing demands of work in your organization. Microsoft has worked hard over the past few years to deliver a product that works and is relatively easy to learn. Your work as a manager starts now. The migration to Windows 95 requires your involvement and leadership. This video will address how you can help your organization make a quick and cost-effective shift to Windows 95. We found that workers who have managers that were interested and involved in their learning of new technology had far greater success. In other words, an involved manager created successful learning and created successful migration. Here are a few of your roles. You will define how Windows 95 is used in your work group. You will articulate the official learning strategies for Windows 95. You will announce and enforce the official support strategies for Windows 95. You will help deliver the motivation message for Windows 95. Your job is to communicate why your workers' desktops are being changed. Now, a few words about the learning process. We advocate that your users start their learning process for Windows 95 with a briefing. Now, your organization may choose to supplement this with other learning strategies, including actual classes, technology delivered learning, maybe it'll be a CD-ROM or other form of self-paced tutorial. Sneaker-based, and I like this one, it's the deploying of training or support staff to spend some time with users right at their workplace. And a number of your workers will use the telephone help desk as part of their learning process. However, the key to a cost-effective migration is the briefing. By briefing, we mean a short, about 60-minute meeting led by a manager to launch a segment of the workforce on a low-cost self-discovery model of learning Windows 95. Now, this copy of BriefingWare contains all the elements necessary to present a successful briefing. At the briefing, your employees will experience Windows 95 in a variety of ways. We'll start with a high-energy, even music-included tour of Windows 95. Then, I'll provide a basic explanation of what Windows 95 is all about and what it means to them and to your organization. What follows is a key message about the ease of learning Windows 95 and a push to learn it through 1 to 2 hours of very structured back-at-the-work self-discovery. Then, we'll present a learning tour of Windows 95 that will illustrate 8 key and simple activities that will get them working faster and more productively on Windows 95. Now, they'll take away a learning guide that's personalized to your organization, and they'll hear a message from a manager in your organization about why they are moving to Windows 95. At the briefing, there will also be an announcement about the training and learning strategies for Windows 95 in your organization. Now, at the end of my discussion with you, we've included a copy of the video from this briefing. We encourage you to watch this video and give yourself a head start on Windows 95. I believe that managers should be amongst the early users of Windows 95. Lead by example. Now, your users may ask you, why is the organization migrating to Windows 95? Why are they changing the way my computer works? The best answer is an honest and localized answer. Tell them why your company is making the change and provide a peek into your hopes for this new operating system. Your IS department can give you details and specifics for this kind of a dialogue. Now, let me help you out by modeling an answer that I would provide to the staff at the Masie Center as a way of responding to that question. Here's what I say. The Masie Center is moving you to Windows 95 as part of our commitment to providing information tools that will allow our company to stay profitable and competitive. You know, Windows 95 will provide us with a more powerful engine that will allow you to run several programs at once without running out of memory or getting those annoying messages or remember those really frustrating crashes. I would tell them that the Masie Center will be using the networking capabilities of Windows 95 to hook them into a wide range of databases, and that in several months we would be providing internet access to several departments. I would let them know about a Windows 95 pilot that we conducted and how it showed that we will lower our support costs through better remote administration, ease of installation, and the new plug-and-play feature that takes the headache out of adding a printer or changing a modem. It'll also make it easier for our workers to dial in from a remote location or even allow them to work from home and safely access corporate information resources. Finally, I would tell my staff that we want them to be ready to use the wide range of new programs that are about to hit the marketplace that will utilize the power of Windows 95. Now, that's what I've been saying to my staff. I encourage you to have a very similar dialogue with the specifics from your own organization. Now, there are a couple of configuration decisions. Windows 95 allows for a wide range of configurations and choices. Your IS organization and even your departments may make decisions about the specific features and capabilities of each employee's workstation. The portion of the video that your staff will watch will highlight the major features within most organizations' implementation of Windows 95. I'm going to take you through a few of them now so that you're aware of their existence and that you'll be better prepared to respond to questions such as, are we going to be using these features? Many of these features have been talked about in the wide general press articles about Windows 95, but really are organizational decisions about when, how, and if they're going to be implemented in your setting. They include fax. Will your organization utilize the Microsoft Win95 fax features? Microsoft Network. Will workers have access to Microsoft Network? And if so, what will be the conditions of access? Internet. Will they be using Microsoft Network in order to get internet access? And once again, under what conditions? And finally, email. Will they be using the inbox and exchange features of Microsoft Windows 95, or will it be integrated into an existing mail product that your corporation is using? Now, with this briefing, we believe that they can do most of the rest of the learning themselves. We believe that Windows 95 is a great moment in computer history to shift the pattern of how adults learn upgrades of applications and operating systems. It is time for us to ask computer users to take more responsibility for their own support prior to picking up that very expensive phone to call the help desk. Windows 95 is the next step in the evolution of your organization's computers. Let's work together to make the transition with ease. Make sure that each of your employees attends the Windows 95 briefing. They will receive the BriefingWare Learning Guide to help them get started with self-discovery learning. Ask them how their learning is going and provide praise as people make painless migrations to their new version of Windows. What follows next is the video from the briefing. Thank you for your attention. I have faith in you as managers to provide leadership for this technology upgrade. Thank you. In addition to BriefingWare for Windows 95, Q Education and Training offers a complete line of training tools for Windows 95. The On-the-Job Essentials series for instructor-led training of new Windows 95 users. Transition to Windows 95 for Windows 3.x users. For instructor-led training of upgrade users. Instructors Manuals. Ideal companion guides to workbooks in the Essentials series. The Computer Trainer's Personal Training Guide. A complete 300-page reference of tips, insights, and proven instructional techniques from a team of expert trainers. For more information, contact Q Education and Training. The Masie Center offers a complete line of resources, products, and training services for the computer training professional. Please contact the Masie Center for more information.